Hi, how you doing, Lakshya? What's up? Hey, everybody. I know a lot of you watch this video after it's live, right? So, hey to all of those chaps as well. We're going to be starting with surface chemistry today. Wait, hold on. No, surface chemistry is done and dusted. We're starting with metallurgy. That was like a robotic voice, right? We're doing metallurgy now. Yeah. Good evening. I'm great, Lakshya. How are you doing? We're going to look at ways to concentrate ores. That's the focus, right? Hydraulic washing, magnetic separation and froth flotation. Mainly this. We'll define what a mineral is, we'll define what a ore is. And interestingly, NEET से काफी सवाल इसी आइडिया पे आते हैं कि कौन से मिनरल का कौन सा मेटल, कौन से मिनरल से कौन सा मेटल निकल सकता है, कौन से ओर से कौन सा मेटल निकल सकता है, स्टफ लाइक दैट. लॉट ऑफ क्वेश्चंस हैव कम ऑन दैट इंटरेस्टिंगली. सो जो पहली वाली टेबल है एनसीईआरटी में, या दैट इज रियली रियली यूजफुल. हे, National Highway Update. That's a very interesting name. Hello to you too. So yeah, we'll get started. After this one, by the way, after these, I have 4 sessions planned for you. This is the first of 4. After this, we'll start with isomerism. So we're going to do organic right after this and stereoisomerism, by the way. Then we'll do some haloalkanes. Anyway, first session, what do we have planned for you? From NCERT as always, please read NCERT if not padha to. Hey Rathorji, good evening. Deepu, hi, what's up, what's up? Familiar faces, good to see you all. Hi everybody. We have these things planned today. Occurrence of metals. We're going to look at concentration of ores, and under concentration of ores, as the thumbnail suggested, hydraulic washing, magnetic separation and froth flotation. That's what we'll cover this up with. Interestingly, I was looking this up online, right? NCERT says this is how you write flotation, right? When I look it up online, I see this as a spelling without the A. So anyway, I guess this one must be the American spelling, and this is probably the British spelling. So yeah, if you're looking it up online, both of these work. Care. Yeah, just some interesting tidbit. Hey Garv, hey, good afternoon, how are you doing? I'm great, Adya and Deepu. Sorry, I think I said Aditya earlier. Yeah, good to see some new faces here. Okay, good afternoon everybody. Let's get started right away, okay? New chapter, awesome stuff. This chapter I feel is fairly direct in terms of NEET, in terms of the questions that come. थोड़ा सा effort लगाना पड़ेगा NCERT पढ़ने में and you'll be done. This is very different from surface chemistry. Surface chemistry में बहुत ज़्यादा effort लगाना पड़ेगा to get that 1 or 2 question because it's a big chapter. ये वाला थोड़ा छोटा है in terms of size, right? And a lot of these things are probably already been done in lower grades. अगर आप ICSE पढ़ गए हैं तो भाई आपकी life simple है. Extraction of aluminum तो मैंने खुद ICSE में पढ़ाया था बायजूस classes में. If you guys have subscribed to that by any chance, I'm great. Saeed Aji, how are you doing? Good afternoon. Hey, a lot of new names. That's good. That's awesome. Hey, I see a familiar one there. Ashish Shekhar, good to see you. Good evening. Hey. Good afternoon. Good evening. Hey, Narendra, what's up? Good evening. Hey. So, this is what we're going to look at, right? Is taraf hai aaj. Is taraf. This is the name of the chapter on NCERT. On the name of the channel, I'm calling it Metallurgy, so that ढूंढने में आसानी हो, ठीक है? क्योंकि coaching में this is a more easy term, recognizable term. But in NCERT, there's a term, so I'm just going to put this over here as well. So what are we going to do? Some bit of introduction. What is metallurgy? This is very interesting. Session 2 and 3 are going to be primarily on this, okay? And lastly, we'll do this and this. This has to do with aluminium, care, etc., etc. We'll talk about it all one at a time. Hey, Bhumi, what's up? Hi. So, what's the most abundant, metal on the Earth's surface? That's what this big graph is trying to tell you. Okay, more than the most abundant metal, looks like oxygen is a huge amount. Look, I'm going to pause this video because it keeps playing over and over again. Ruko. Okay, let's pause when the circle completes. Aha. Okay. It restarted. Ruko. आगे जा रहा हूँ थोड़ा सा. Videos are hard to deal with when you're trying to manage them with this pen. Okay, yes, we stopped at the right spot. It's like, spot this thing. ठीक है. So it looks like a large chunk is oxygen. Abundancy, I'm talking about on the Earth's surface, not ऊपर and all that, okay? Different elements on Earth. Oxygen सबसे ज़्यादा, silicon सबसे ज़्यादा. Why is this? Because this is mostly what sand is made of. I'm writing SiO2, SAE, that there are silicates basically, right? Then उसके बाद, if you talk about metals, it looks like aluminium is pretty high, then iron, then calcium. उसके बाद then a lot of other things are there. Since we are talking about metallurgy, हमारा focus has to be able to get metals out. We're going to look at this. Hey Saida ji, what's up? Hey Meeraj, Alam ji. So these are what we are going to focus on, at least in theory, right? Calcium के बारे में हम लोग ज़्यादा बात नहीं करेंगे. Aluminium and iron are going to do in detail, and some other commercially important ones like copper, zinc. जो आपके पास ज़्यादातर मेटल चीज़ें हैं जो आप यूज़ करते हैं, मे बी पतीला यूज़ करते हैं, whatever it is, fancy ones are made out of brass, regular ones are made out of steel and aluminium. So we'll get an idea of how these metal extracted. I know as a doctor, you may not care so much about all of these. I understand that. But very, very fancy equipment. I've heard of nerve conduction studies. Actually, interestingly, I got them done. What they do, maybe you know this better than I do, right? They put this sort of not electrodes, they put these sort of things that shock you, for the lack of a better term, right? Since I don't know this, I've not used technical terms. And you get like a small jerk. And then you see, oh, this is supposed to be this much, but if are your nerves working properly or not? So anyway, to make all of those things, you need metals. Okay. And those metals, how do you get them? From metallurgy. I know, बहुत ही round way of saying how this could be relevant to you, but I'll think of better terms. Okay, as the sessions go along, I'll see if I can get you some interesting as to how to a doctor will any of this be interesting. Here anyway, metals and generally all kind of elements, they combine. They exist either in the pure state or in the combined state, oxides, halides, sulfides, etc., etc. We are going to look at these कि उसको कैसे निकालेगा ऐसे आया. And बाकी जो है ये carbon, sulfur और gold, they are existing in the pure state. Out of this, gold is the most interesting one, right? Metals point of view से. So we're going to focus on these. So generally ये idea आपको बता दिया कि हम लोग को मिलता है metals. What do you need to do? We need to be able to get them out into a way so we can use them, pure metals, right? And so for that we're going to study their extraction and isolation. I'm just checking the chat. I did. Okay, cool, great, cool. So सबसे ज़्यादा abundant metal कौन सा है? I've already told you. First one is aluminium from that graph, right? And next is iron and next is calcium. So aluminium के बारे में लोग क्यों पढ़ते हैं? And this is very fancy. I'm not making this up, right? पहले ज़माने में, like बाबा आदम के ज़माने में, aluminium, not बाबा आदम, even before that, aluminium was given as, a peace offering. It was more expensive than gold was because उस समय तक nobody had any idea how to extract aluminium. So अगर किसी तरह किसी ने aluminium, they got their hand on pure aluminium, they'd be like, oh, this is the best thing ever. And immediately aluminium would lose its shine and become Al2O3, right? That's something to know. And I think अगर किसी ने ICSE में 9th grade में है तो ये बहुत detail में एक कहानी छोटी सी है. But it's very abundant in the Earth's crust and it's mostly available in this form, like some form of Al2O3. इसके साथ कुछ और भी होता है, Na होता है, K होता है, उसके बहुत अलग-अलग होते हैं. खैर anyway, so ज़्यादातर जो minerals हैं, including mica and clay, उसमें aluminium होता ही है. Cool. And yeah, as I told you, many gemstones are impure forms of Al2O3. आपको जो बहुत अगर किसी के पास खानदानी जायदाद है और you'll have these fancy stones, they are mostly Al2O3. Yeah, I know. The same thing जो आपके जो बर्तन बनते हैं जो काफी inexpensive बर्तन होते हैं वही चीज का आपके metals आप gemstones बने हैं और उसमें अलग अलग impurity है. अगर क्रोमियम आ गया तो लाल कलर का रूबी हो जाएगा, कोबाल्ट आएगा सफायर हो जाएगा जो बहुत ही ब्यूटीफुल ब्लू कलर का है. ठीक है, but yeah, all of these are forms of just Al2O3. Interesting thing to know. Iron is, well, everything around is made of metal. This bottle, my favorite prop of all time, made of steel, which is made from iron, right? It's very important for all you doctors to know that, well, it's there in hemoglobin, right? A lot of things that happen in our blood are because of hemoglobin, right? Don't have to tell you more about this. There are great bioteachers to tell you about this. Calcium is there in your bones. You need to know about this. And it's very, very useful in the glass industry. Glass industry में कैसे? ग्लास में तो सोडियम होता है और क्या होता है? ग्लास में क्या होता है किसी को याद है क्या? आशुतोष, on fire. Aluminum plus caustic soda plus water giving hydrogen gas, hydrogen balloon. Aha, this is that's a very interesting thing. I think ये थोड़ा सा exothermic reaction होने वाला है, but yeah, that's a great idea as well. Glass क्या होता है किसी को formula मालूम है क्या? Hi, Meeraj, Alamji, great to have you here. I'm also new. I've been here just for a month, so let's help each other out. Yeah, tell me if there's anything that you need. We give you guys, the usual PDFs and all in the Telegram channel. That's in the description. You can click and join that. You can obviously subscribe to see more of our awesome videos, so on and so forth. Glass का formula क्या होता है? कोई बता क्यों रहा है क्या? Some silicate होता है ना, Na होता है, कुछ silicon होता है और भी कुछ चीज होती है. Maybe aluminium भी होता है. खैर anyway, वो glass के बारे में जब आएगा तो हम लोग डिटेल में पढ़ेंगे. But check this out, right? और उसमें calcium भी होता है in different forms of glass. Anyway, तो पहली बात, before I know हम लोग थोड़ा सा slow जा रहे हैं सेशन में. In the first session of every chapter, it's going to be a little chill. And next session onwards, we're going to gear things up right away. So what is the difference between a mineral and an ore? Let's first understand that, right? ये भी पूछा गया NEET में. I'm not messing with you. Any compound of a metal that is naturally occurring is called a mineral. It's as simple as that, right? हम लोग उसको mining करके निकाल सकते हैं. तो FeS2, that's a mineral. Iron pyrite. Now, iron pyrite में और भी हजार चीजें होती हैं. I'm not kidding when I say हजार. Like there's so many different things there. None of which are useful for me to get iron out. Okay, so iron pyrite is a good mineral. But from which mineral I can usefully extract a metal? उसको हम लोग बोलते हैं ore. economically and conveniently. ये class 12th का है मेरे जालम जी. This is metallurgy. I think you can just check out the, what do you call this, thumbnail, etc. etc. उसमें लिखा है. Yeah, this is class 12. You can check out our class 11 videos. I'm also taking, what am I taking there? What am I taking there? I'm taking thermodynamics there. पहला session कल था. Okay. Here are some examples of ores. Yeah, oxide ores, very fancy one. Pitch blend. ये U क्या है? What is U here? Anyone wants to tell me what is U? U कहाँ से आया? What is? That sounds like a scary element. And then you have sulfide ores, PBS, galena. This is like something I mugged from school. मुझे बहुत अच्छी तरह याद है galena हुआ करता था. And a halide ore. Oh, so ore halide का भी बन सकता है. यानी कि CaF2 या fluorspar. Remember this. We are going to use this in the extraction of aluminium. Please NCERT पढ़ के आइए. In this chapter, that's like your Bible for anything else. Uranium, Ashutosh said. Absolutely. This is a very scary thing, right? Because this is what is enriched to make those atomic, well, I want to say enrichment of uranium leads to very good things like nuclear energy. But yeah, well, nuclear weapons can also be made by that. So, you know, you make a gas out of this, and the heavier isotope and the lighter isotope are separated because you send them through many, you know, chambers. And the heavier ones is slower. The lighter one goes away. Diffusion का idea अगर आपको याद है from gaseous state, that's what is used to, you know, finally enrich uranium. ये तो एक oxide ore हो गई. उसके बाद जो next step आता है, uranium और fluorine का एक compound बनता है with which you can mess around with that. Little interesting thing about nuclear energy. Anyway, here are some more ores, some carbonate ores. This one's called dolomite, anglesite, and Indian saltpeter. Saltpeter. This was used, by the way, to what was this used for? हाँ, you know, हम लोग जो बारूद बोलते हैं, हिंदी में लिखो क्या? बारूद, या फिर इंग्लिश में भी लिख देता हूँ if it's difficult for people to read this. It doesn't make sense. बारूद में basically sulfur compounds होते हैं, okay? And saltpeter was something that was used along with sulfur compounds to, well, you know, blow things up very nicely. Khair. Anyway, it's all right. It's all right, Mehraj. You can watch the other sessions, which is, and you can watch this also actually. कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता 11th और 12th में. I think this session is one of those sessions कि इससे पहले और बाद में you don't really need anything. Separately भी पढ़ सकते हैं. You will need thermodynamics for the second and third session. I will talk about it. Anyway, stick around if you want. अगर थोड़ा सर के ऊपर जाता है तो sure, you know, maybe just zone out for a second or so. Phosphorus, yes, okay, all right. I'm going to keep that over here. I'm going to write that here as well. So a sulfate ore is PbSO4. Now remember, the ore का सबसे main component is what I have written down over here. This carbonate ore does not mean कि उसमें सिर्फ यही है. Dolomite has this and a lot of impurities. उसको मुझे हटाना है, and that's what my job is, to concentrate it, then to, you know, oxidize, then to reduce it, and then to, you know, get to purify the metal again. These are 4 steps which I'll show you very, very soon. Khair. So all minerals are ores, but all ores are not minerals. Does this statement make sense? This fancy Venn diagram is just saying this. कि देखो अगर mineral बड़ा सा circle है, okay, तो उसके अंदर एक छोटा circle है, that are ores. मतलब कि all ores are definitely minerals, but all minerals are not ores. This is just a statement in NCERT. I hope this makes sense to you. कोई fancy चीज नहीं है. Okay, cool, great. नरेंद्र जी, NCERT books आपको online मिल जाएंगी. I think you will get NCERT books online and print them. It's okay if you don't have access to them. Yeah, I think that's a yes, Mehraj ji. Go to our channel. You will be able to see 11th. I am teaching on 11th as well, chemistry. I'm teaching thermodynamics. I think you missed it when I said I answered this last time. Let's keep all things focused to you know, metallurgy and to 12th grade for now. 11th के लिए you can come. Hey, great. I'm doing great, Sheikh. Aslan ji, how are you doing? Okay, cool. Let's move on. Quick question. Which of the following is a carbonate ore? अभी तक आप लोग सो रहे थे कि जगे हुए थे? One of those questions. Just checking that. Pyrolusite, malachite, diaspore or cassiterite? A, B, C or D? Which one? You're most welcome, Narendra ji. Most welcome. Mehraj, you should check out. Yeah, 4 बजे मैं आता हूँ. I will teach 11th and 12th both at the same time for now. You can check out the other thing. We're doing thermodynamics. I've also done states of matter. You can, in the description, right, of this, you can just expand that, और नीचे आपको जो playlist मिल जाएगी. I'm talking to Mehraj as well as to anybody else who's looking at 11th and 12th grade stuff. सारे आपको हम लोगों ने जो recently sessions किए हैं वहाँ पे दिख जाएंगे. While I give you that small lecture, Ashutosh and Deepanvita and Asya and Narendra Gundur and Deepu have all given me the answer to be B. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's a 5 and a 6. Okay, awesome. All of you are right. What about these others? Pyrolusite क्या होता है? पायरोलुसाइट क्या होता है? इसमें होता है मैंगनीज. मैलाकाइट में तो आपने बताया कि कॉपर का ओर होता है, एंड इट इज कार्बोनेट, एंड दिस इज एन ऑक्साइड. ठीक है. व्हाट इज डायस्पोर? डायस्पोर इज इंटरेस्टिंग. आई एम गोना राइट दिस राइट नाउ. ओके, इट्स अ मिनरल दैट हैज दिस, एंड कैसिटराइट इज दिस चैप राइट हियर. ठीक है, कूल. You can look this up online. It's also there in NCERT. Another question. Metals are usually not found as nitrates in their ores. Oh, out of the following reasons, which is or are true for the above observation? Metal nitrates are highly unstable. Metal nitrates are highly soluble in water. I know मैंने अभी तक आपको पढ़ाया नहीं है, but याद है मैंने आपको last time बोला था कि आप NCERT पढ़ के आइए सेशन में. आपकी life will be a lot easier, and I want you to get into a habit of reading a textbook यार, because that is the single most important thing for you for this exam. And for your life as a doctor, आपको कितनी मोटी मोटी किताबें पढ़नी पड़ेंगी, right? Please read NCERT. Now I see that no one's answering this question, which means कि अरे यार ये तो ज़्यादा हो गया. अच्छा, but no, Ashutosh is still saying B is the answer. Good, thank you for that, for the option. और आप पुराना वाला बोल रहे थे Ashutosh, is this one? Is anyone answering this question right now? Okay, Deepanwita also saying B. Okay. Metal nitrates are highly unstable. ये सही है. Or they're highly soluble in water is incorrect. That is what B is saying, right? Asya is also saying B. Acha. What do you guys think? Okay. Any other takers? Just gotta wait to hit that 5 wala number. I have a feeling the answer may be slightly different though. B. Lakshya also saying B. Okay. Why are you saying this? Can you give me an idea? क्यों ऐसा लगता है कि B होगा? Why do you think कि metal nitrates are not soluble in water? Let's look at that. Nitrates तो I feel कि should be soluble. So what about KNO3? Is that soluble in water? I thought it's similar to KCl. अगर KCl है तो KNO3 भी it should dissolve, right? But what you guys are saying कि they are also unstable. ऐसा तो नहीं है. नाइट्रेट तो काफी स्टेबल है. NaNO3, I think ये सर के ऊपर जा रहा है. नहीं, let me write it. NaNO3 is very stable. Here's the nitrate. What are the nitrate can I think of? KNO3 एक है. और कौन सा नाइट्रेट आ सकता है मेरे दिमाग में? Maybe calcium nitrate. Yeah, CNO3 whole twice. All of these seem to be very stable compounds to me. ठीक है. So I'm going to swap that out. Okay. The right answer is option A, because they are quite stable. That should be a hint. Okay. And yes, they are soluble in water, which is a problem. I want things to be insoluble in water so that I can take it out of the press rate और मैं उसको ले सकूं. और पानी में जो soluble है मैं उसको फेंक सकता हूं आसानी से. ठीक है. Usually that's the case. We'll see in one case that you may want to do other things. ठीक है. This was in NEET and yeah, slightly tricky question. It's all right. We learn and we move on. ठीक है. Here's a small thing for you to note, right? This guy right here, this mineral Fe2, it's very, very abundant, but I can't really use this to get iron economically and conveniently. Those are two things for it to be an ore, right? Instead, an ore would have a lot of other things also. ठीक है? It would have one thing, थोड़ा सा maybe 10, 15, maybe even 5%, but I will be able to get it out easily. बाकी बहुत कचड़ा होगा. उस कचड़े को कैसे निकाला जाए? That कचड़ा is formally known as gangue. It's earthly and undesired substance that's known as gangue. Kachada. I may not spell this correctly. अगर मेरी हिंदी गड़बड़ है तो बताना. I've been in Bangalore for too long. I may not get this right. So sand for me is not desirable. So according to me, it's gangue. So I would want to get rid of it. Remember that initial abundancy वाला chart? SiO2 was a lot of it. Silicon and oxygen बहुत ज़्यादा था. And I need to get rid of it. ठीक है? Any doubts as to why that was A? उसके बाद आप लोग सब बोलना बिल्कुल बंद हो गए. You know, so impurities in ore is called as gangue. Absolutely. Good job, Ashutosh. So, if something has way too much impurity and I can't really, this is one way to understand is that mineral is something that has a lot of impurity, ore has something less. But I would say that an ore is something which I can use to economically and conveniently extract. What am I extracting? Metal, because this is metallurgy, right? That is what I call an ore. ठीक है? Cool. Now let's look at some principal ores. This is the part where you got to mug a little bit. Hey Lakshya. Yes, absolutely. ये थोड़ा मग करना पड़ेगा दोस्तों. इसका स्क्रीनशॉट ले लो. इसके साथ मैं ज़्यादा कहानी नहीं बताऊंगा because we're already 20 minutes in, right? And yeah, a little bit of scary things here, but these are things you're gonna have to remember. ठीक है? Aluminium का this is a primary ore. Kaolinite as a form of clay is good, but not the primary ore. Similarly, iron का कौन सा है? You tell me. It's one of these two. It's not this. It's not this. These are not primary ores. Primary ore मतलब कि सबसे ज़्यादा जो होता है उससे नहीं होता है. सबसे ज़्यादा use होता है for me to extract the element. Okay. Copper again. Okay. Now I have a lot of them. Maybe this guy and this guy, and in some cases these two. Okay. I'm going to stop ticking here. It's only those where I'll tick. For copper, it's best to remember all of them. Zinc is very interesting. Towards the last session, in session 4, we'll talk about how to extract zinc in detail. It's got a very interesting way of doing things, right? Zinc is one of those compounds, one of those elements that has not that high a melting point, and I'm going to use that property. So look, why are we teaching this? Because हम लोग एक property को exploit कर सकते हैं to extract that metal, and that's what is that property? If we know that, then we'll be able to do that. Okay. So for example, silver is very, very dense, right? Silver and gold are very dense things, and they don't react with anything. So you're going to have to do something really, really crazy to be able to get silver out of its solution. Okay. Here are a couple of things here. Magnesium on the other hand is so reactive, वो किसी के साथ भी react कर जाएगा. Now किसी के साथ भी react कर गया तो इतना stable compound form करता है that you don't know how to get rid of it. You've got such a very, very strong stable compound. How do I break that bond? With electricity. ठीक है? We won't talk about magnesium too much in our talks, but we'll talk about aluminium instead. ठीक है? Principle is the same. Cool. Say a quick question. Which of the following is a mineral? Yes, Ashutosh. Awesome. Which of the following is a mineral of iron? Malachite, cassiterite, pyrolusite and magnetite. इस सेशन में मैं बीच में सवाल पूछता रहूंगा, although this is the first session, क्योंकि I don't want you to guys to go to sleep. काफी theoretical है this whole chapter. Okay, all right, awesome, good stuff, good stuff. Looks like I've already पढ़ के आए. That's great. Awesome. Ashutosh, Deepanvita, Asya, Deepu, and Ashutosh again saying magnetite D. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Malachite क्या है? Malachite has copper and it's a carbonate ore. ठीक है? Cassiterite क्या है? SnO2. Pyrolusite क्या है? Manganese का and has oxide. तो in this case, right? In case of metallurgy, जितने ज़्यादा PYQs कर सकते हैं करो, because वो PYQs करने से ही आपको आधी चीजें याद हो जाएगी. And अगर याद नहीं आता है तो go online and look for this. अच्छा cassiterite क्या था? Look it up. Pyrolusite क्या है? Look it up online and make notes. This is the best way to remember this. Hi, Abhinandan. Right back at you. Magnetite is the answer for this one. Another one. Sulfide ores are common for the metals. Oof. ये वाला interesting. इसको कैसे solve करें? Silver, copper, lead. Silver, copper, tin. Silver, magnesium, lead. Aluminium, copper, lead. ये कैसे किया जाए? अभिनंदन says B. Okay. ठीक है? Sulfide ores की हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं दोस्तों. What do the rest of you think? AIMS 2015 में पूछा हुआ सवाल. You'll see that most of the questions I'm asking you in this have come in NEET or in AIMS या फिर AIPMT in the past. ठीक है? And because in this chapter, that's what helps the most. To know कि, hey, to give you guys confidence कि NCERT में जो है वही चीज पूछी जा रही है, nothing extra. It's pretty doable. Ashutosh saying C, I've marked that here. And nobody else willing to put their hands on the buzzer and tell me what the answer is. There are a few of you on this, watching this. यार बताओ तो कौन सा है? ठीक है? So let me tell you how I think about it. I know for fact कि there is something called galena because that is something I mugged in school and मुझे याद है कि ये PBS was a good ore of sulfide. तो इसको हटा दें क्योंकि इसमें lead नहीं है. तो it could be A, C और D. Okay. Copper का भी sulfur के साथ ore होता है. With that, अरे यार, have I gotten rid of anything else? Oh, I have gotten rid of C also. अगर वैसे कि copper and PB are both options. The third one is either aluminium or Ag. So I'm going to go with Ag. हमने अभी देखा भी था because aluminium, as your friends pointed out before, इसकी bauxite is a good ore of this. So was kaolin, and a couple of other things as well. So the answer for this one is going to be A. It's possible to use a little bit of reduction to do this, but यार, this is one of those chapters याद ही करना पड़ेगा और क्या ही कर सकते हैं, right? One more question. G4 of aluminium is, अभी मैंने आंसर दे दिया यार. I gave you the answer of the previous one. ठीक है. A is the right answer. Asya, pro boy, what's up? Lakshya, and yeah, all of you right. Previous answer was A. ये वाला कौन सा है? ये वाला B है. Absolutely. Asya, Narendra, Abhinandan, and Ashutosh all getting it correct. We'll move on quickly. Bauxite is the G4 of aluminium. Good job. Let's look at the different steps. मैंने आपको ऊपर बस ऑलरेडी बता दिया, बट हम लोग देखते हैं इसको और डिटेल में कि कौन से स्टेप्स होते हैं कि अच्छा मेरे पास आइडेंटिफाइड कि ओर क्या होता है. अब उस ओर से हम लोग कैसे मेटल को एक्सट्रैक्ट करें. पहली चीज कि आई हैव लिटरली गॉट बिग रॉक्स. उस रॉक को मुझे छोटा करना पड़ेगा. ओके, दैट इज कॉल्ड क्रशिंग एंड ग्राइंडिंग. दैट्स द फर्स्ट स्टेप. Why छोटा क्यों करना पड़ेगा? If I take a big rock, what do I do? Like, I can't put it in a machine to do anything. It's not very easy to do anything with it. If you remember from 11th grade, the smaller you make anything, the larger its surface area gets, the easier reactions happen with it. And not just reactions, physical processes also are easier, right? Adsorption is easier, surface area बढ़ता है तो. This helps with that. Not adsorption specifically, but generally to increase the rate of any sort of a reaction or physical process. ठीक है. The next step is the concentration of ore. यानी कि जो unwanted चीजें हैं, gang और वो सब हम लोग फेंक दें. Third is हम लोग, okay, ये सब हमने कर दिया. Now let's focus on this metal. And last step है कि because I have done some chemical methods here in point 3, I have to undo that and just get very, very pure metal. Right now we're going to focus on mostly these two. ठीक है, crushing, grinding and this thing, and the concentration of ore. So that was the introduction. Let's move on to metallurgy. What is metallurgy? Well, it's the science and technology for the extraction of metals economically. पैसा matter करता है. That's what it's trying to say. There are 3 different types of metallurgy: pyrometallurgy, hydrometallurgy, and electrometallurgy. You can kind of guess as to what these 3 are, right? Pyrotechnics, fire. तो अगर जहाँ पे मैंने heat lie in the picture, so all I'm doing is, okay, I am going to use heat, and some processes are going to be there. With that, I should be able to extract the ores of iron, zinc, and some other substances, right? Pyrometallurgy, simple enough, right? Good job, Asya. Hydrometallurgy मतलब पानी से कुछ होगा? Yes and no. What we'll do is we'll use some chemical methods to form aqueous solutions. Okay, so if you get an aqueous solution, then that sort of stuff is called hydrometallurgy. Okay, so इसका best example है, oh, you see interesting one there. You have gold, you have silver, and copper. Gold or silver are very interesting. They have some very specific things because they usually don't react with anything. But if I make them react with something, then that something must be very special. We'll look at that. And copper का example is completely out of this world. We'll look at that in the 4th session. Copper का detail में, ठीक है? And last one is electrometallurgy. ये भी हम लोग 4th session में detail में करेंगे. Electrometallurgy, like the word suggests, we will use electricity to break bonds. We've studied this in electrochemistry, right? कि electrochemistry में 2 type के cells होते थे. एक जो chemical हम लोग reactions करें और उससे ऊर्जा यानी कि electricity produce हो. दूसरी electrolysis, which is older than the first one, is कि अच्छा I pass current and I break bonds and I form bonds and I do funky things. That is what will be used over here. ठीक है? So deposition of metals, and yeah, because electricity गर्मी भी पैदा होती है. So that will be used for very, very reactive metals right on the top of the, what do you call that thing? Reactivity series. Yeah, सबसे reactive metals के लिए ये हम लोग use करेंगे because no other method is good for that. ठीक है? Let's start with the first one, crushing and grinding. As royal water. अरे वाह, galvanic cell, electrolytic cell, aqua regia. Good, lovely, lovely. All of you on your toes, good stuff. ठीक है? Fancy word for crushing and grinding is pulverization. You like wham, wham, wham. You like funny way of describing it, but basically you just smash the ore so hard that it just shatters into pieces. ठीक है? Something called jaw crushers are used to do this, right? You get very fine powder, and then you get some sort of, घर पे वो होता है ना, mortar and pestle, आप हाथ से वो जड़ी बूटियों के लिए बनाते हो, you go and grind it. Think of that, but you have huge things and you have these very, very highly abrasive resistant, balls which are made of ceramics and all of that grind this to a very, very small powder. ठीक है? Once you've got that, then you go through this thing called concentration of ore. Now this concentration of ore requires you to identify one thing that about the ore is a little bit, its weakness. So which I can use, not the ore, for the gang. I want to remove the gang, right? So I find it, okay, ये चीज़ अगर हम लोग करें, then इससे हम लोग इसको exploit करके कर सकते हैं. This process is known as dressing and benefaction. इस slide पे एक शब्द ज़रूरी है. मैं बोल रहा हूँ, but it's stamp में मतलब चपटा करना, stamp, अभिनंदन. Stamp is just that. ठीक है? Okay. एक शब्द इस स्लाइड पे जो लिखे हैं वो सब NCERT से हैं. मैं बोल तो रहा हूँ, but it's important that you write this yourself, make notes. This is one of those chapters यार कि कहीं से कुछ भी आ सकता है. But it's generally easy questions that come from here. Okay, so what physical property can we exploit? Okay, let's see. There are 3 of them that we'll focus on. Some component of metal and gang का कुछ property हम लोग exploit कर सकते हैं. So let's look at some physical methods and chemical methods. In our session today, we're going to look at these 3 physical methods specifically. This is going to be in session 2, which is going to be in Friday's session, I think. Okay, leaching will be covered then. This will be session 2. And this is today's session. Session 1. Okay, hydraulic washing. Let's start with that one. What does hydraulic washing mean? Hydraulic मतलब पानी से कुछ करते होंगे. And if you know of hydraulic lifts and all of that, you know कि कुछ pressure का भी involvement है. मतलब high pressure पे पानी आ जा रहा है. That's what we're trying to say. ठीक है, cool. This is also known as gravity separation. मतलब कि अगर कोई एक और उसके गैंग पार्टिकल से डेंसिटी में फर्क है बहुत ज़्यादा, then we can use this sort of a method. So, for example, if you're taking some heavy metal, like say iron maybe हो गया, or maybe copper or something else, and your particles are say silicon dioxide. So this density, let's say D2 and D1. So D1 is much greater than D2. What is D? D is density. People say lighter and heavier. What they actually mean is less dense and more dense. Be careful about this. Lighter and heavier, as people of science, we shouldn't use those terms. I know बहुत loosely लोग बोलते हैं, बोलने दो. हम लोग बोलेंगे more dense or less dense. ठीक है. तो ऐसा हो सकता है कि हमारे पास, the cook animation that should be playing right now. There you go. पानी बह रहा है और पानी के साथ हम लोग अब ओर्स डाल रहे हैं और ओर के साथ गैंग यानी कि जो अननेसेसरी चीज है वो भी आ रही है. तो you will see slowly that the heavier particles start settling down. In this case, those are the black ones, right? The lighter particles gang, in this case the yellow stuff, flows away with water. क्यों? क्योंकि वो lighter component है, less dense component है. तो more dense component stays behind and less dense component goes through. That's it. It's as simple as that, right? This is one way to do hydraulic washing या gravity separation. I could, zone refining. Okay, what, Abhinandan? I didn't get what zone refining आपने कहाँ पे बोला. Were you talking about one of the things that we're going to do in session 4? For sure. Yeah, I don't think we're talking about zone refining right now. We will talk about this session 4, yes. So another way of looking at this is कि ठीक है, I have another setup where नीचे से I have very high pressure water, right? And इसमें से ऊपर से मैं डाल रहा हूँ ore and gang. Now this high pressure water is able to push up the gang, and you collect it from here, and जो ore है वो नीचे से यहाँ से collect हो जाती है. ठीक है, this is another way of doing it. इसीलिए NCERT में लिखा है कि upward stream of running water, this is high pressure water basically, is used to wash the powdered ore that comes from here, and lighter particles get washed away. This is the lighter particles. We use a different color here. What do you not want? Something that's red. तो यहाँ पे रखते हैं. What do you want? Something that's green. So यहाँ पे रखते हैं इसको green. ठीक है. I know red doesn't look very nice on this, but ठीक है, it's all right. Lighter particles get washed away and heavier ores are left behind. ठीक है. Any doubts here so far? What is hydraulic washing? This is the first really important idea from this session. Besides, जो आपको याद करना पड़ेगा, all those ores and minerals, ores mainly of different elements. Those you have to remember. Conceptually, this is the first important idea. Hydraulic washing में any doubts, guys? Yeah. How does this work? You know that something floats or sinks अगर उसकी density पानी से ज़्यादा या कम है. तो by putting high pressure water up, I'm essentially, जो downward force है gravity का उसको मैं balance कर रहा हूँ. Downward force of gravity. तो जो ज़्यादा dense चीज़ है वो तो फिर भी नीचे चला जाएगा, but जो कम dense है because of the high pressure वो ऊपर चला जाएगा. That's what this upward stream thing means. Okay. Any doubts? Are we good? I see there are a few of you on watching this, but no one's asking anything, so I'm hoping you guys understood everything. अगर कुछ doubt है तो please पूछ लेना, ज़रूरी part था. Let's move on to the next one, which is magnetic separation. This is a very simple idea. You've played with magnets, I'm pretty sure. Have you played with magnets? I used to love playing with magnets as a kid. My grandmother had this thing. I think it was something for BP. Like they got some very strong magnets, and they're like, wow. Anyway, what you could do is when you put iron filings around and you have this whole magnet around it, it forms this beautiful structure. You've seen that? I mean, just a small, what do you call it? Divergence, so to speak. It forms these sort of things that show you the field lines, right? Iron filings, they align themselves, and this is like a nice 6th or 7th grade project that you do in physics. Okay, anyway, so what I'm trying to say is that anything magnetic is very affected by a magnetic field or a magnet itself. Magnetic क्या होता है? Normally iron is what you associate with magnet the most, right? Hey Deepanvita, thanks for the input. So either the ore or the gang can be magnetic, one of them. That's important. The other one has to be non-magnetic. Similarly, hydraulic washing mein, it's important that one of them is really dense, the other one is less dense. It can be either one, okay? मैंने बताया था कि ore ज़्यादा heavy हो सकता है, but ore light भी हो सकता है. In NCERT, the only examples that have been given are of ores that are heavy or more dense than the gangue. But it could also be the other way around. Both work. ठीक है, cool. So, right now, let's say tin stone is non-magnetic and that is your gangue. And that is separated from FeWO4. W क्या है? Or MnWO4. Oh, wolframite. Now, you notice that there is no iron here. But फिर भी magnetic है. ये आपको याद है? You remember this? Magnet metal theater, exactly. You remember this from bonding? Was it in bonding? I think it was in bonding, right? और solid state में था शायद. हाँ, solid state में था. Diamagnetic things, paramagnetic things. And physics में ही पढ़ाया गया था. Things that align in the direction of magnetic field are ferromagnetic. Opposite is anti-ferromagnetic. Diamagnetic क्या होता है? कुछ नहीं होता है. मतलब when there nothing. Paramagnetic are some of them align, some of them don't. ये सब था ना solid state में. Physics में तो पढ़ा होगा आपने detail में. So it's possible for non-iron compounds to be magnetic. Let's get that out of the way. Just clarifying that. ठीक है? So what we do, I'll first explain, then I'll show it to you. We'll take these nice magnetic rollers. मतलब roller ही magnetic है. तो जो भी magnetic substance वो उससे चिपक जाएगा और जो non-magnetic है वो गिर जाएगा. Roller क्या होता है? Just like this, just like a roller, like it has a cylindrical thing and it rolls. That's it. But it's magnetic. उसमें कुछ भी डालूंगा magnetic वो चिपक जाएगा. Non-magnetic गिर जाएगी. As simple as that. That's it. Inertia की वजह से. Here you go. Let's start this. Oops. Funky animation. Let me change over to a pen and there you go. It's pretty cool animation. Check it out. Whoa. Big, right? Powder goes right there. And what's happening? This is an electromagnetic roller. By the way, you know this. Hold on. एक छोटी सी चीज. What is electromagnetic roller? Electricity कहाँ से है? You guys remember that using electricity, I can cause a magnetic field to exist, right? I can make things magnetic using electricity. That's what's happening over here. So I don't really need a physical magnet to do that. I can do that using electricity. There's a conveyor belt, just like gym में जो होता है जो भागते हैं जिसके ऊपर लोग. This belt is running. I'm pouring the ore on it, and I've sort of turned on a switch, so it becomes a magnet. This is the same as this roller being completely magnetic. You see, there are two very clear streams coming out. This stream right here. Let me write this on top of this. This is the stuff that's magnetic and this is non-magnetic. I think ऊपर भी यही आने वाला in like half a second. But anyway, impurities, oh no, it's not saying that. ठीक anyway. Impurities in this case are non-magnetic and the iron ore is magnetic that slips out over here. So because of inertia, right? जो चलता रहता है वो चल के थोड़ा दूर गिर जाएगा since magnetic थोड़ा चिपक के पास आ जाता है. That's all. Cool. That's the cool animation. I really like this animation of this. The last one today is froth floatation. Have you heard of froth floatation? पहले सुना है क्या? ये वाला थोड़ा complicated लगेगा सुनने में. But I think we can figure this out as well. Okay. आपने surface chemistry में पढ़ा था कि और also surface chemistry और कहाँ पढ़ा था? Let me think. Also in organic, right? कि like solvents dissolve like solvents. And so what I mean to say कि अच्छा अगर I have say something that is polar, and that will dissolve something else that's polar. Similarly, non-polar will dissolve non-polar, right? हम लोग इसी चीज को यूज करेंगे. Right now we're talking about something called wettability. Hey, good evening, Varira. Good to see you here. Okay. All right. Good. Narendra Deepanatanasia. It's good that everyone's following. Okay. So one of the two, like ore, happens to be wet by oil. Wet by oil का क्या मतलब है? कि अगर मैं उसको oil में डालूं तो वो sort of it happily goes there. It doesn't float anything. आराम से उसे घुल मिल जाता है. Whereas the impurity is wet by water. If something is wet by water, it's not going to be wet by oil. And the other way around. क्यों? Because of this idea right on top. So the ore goes away from water. अगर मैं दोनों पानी और तेल डाल रहा हूं in the system, then the ore will go away from water, okay? And the impurity will go away from oil. Any doubts there? Removing GAM from sulfide. Oh, beautiful, Narendra. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Next slide. Looks like Narendra has access to my slides. No, good job. Absolutely. It used to remove GAN from sulfide ores. Okay, let's check out the nice, cool graphic that's coming up. So first step is you take this powdered ore and you create a suspension out of it. Suspension बोले तो suspension मतलब large particles you learnt in surface chemistry, right? There is suspension, colloid and solution. So we take large enough particles that don't really dissolve but they settle down. So there's suspension banaya. Then you add something called collectors and froth stabilizers. I'll get to what this is. This is where the polar and non-polar business comes in. ठीक है? We'll talk about that. And lastly, you kind of shake things up. Agitation. That's what separates the wetted by oil and the wetted by water stuff. Okay, hold on. Just give me a second. It is incredibly cold here suddenly. So I'm just going to set the AC for a second. I think there's a power cut or something. And this guy's just gone like full blast on my head. So I'm just fixing this. Whew. All right. Hey. Worried. Okay, just saying good evening. Cool. So let's look at the first part, right? I take a really fine powder, put it in water. This is called a slurry. That's it. That's simple as that. Nothing fancy here. You would have heard this term a lot when you talk about metallurgy. If any of you live near metallurgy, an industrial town like Jamshedpur or Tata Nagar or Mangalore or even Visakhapatnam, Vizag, all of these places have very, very big factories of steel. And you know, when you go close to these, oh, and obviously Dhanbad, right? You would have seen, and the whole place smells of metal. Like when you pass by this, you can see huge things of red colored thing. That's because of iron, by the way. The red stuff, the whole soil is red because of iron there. And yeah, you will see huge pipe going all the way from, I don't know, like 10, 20, 30 floors down. नीचे बहुत बड़ी पाइप जाती होगी. वो इसलिए है क्योंकि आप पानी में उसको मिक्स करते हो फाइन पाउडर करके, so that you can take this ore from जहाँ से निकाला है, transport it to the facility where you're going to be actually be playing around with this. You're going to use it concentrate. Okay. तो ये slurry बनाने का सबसे बड़ा फायदा ये है कि I can make something that's solid flow easily because पानी में डाल दिया है. I know it doesn't dissolve, but फिर भी if I push it with enough force, I can take it from one big place to the next big place, which is about 1 kilometer away. Okay, which is a very big problem from the metallurgy point of view. But anyway, छोटा सा small idea that I thought I'll tell you. So you add something called collectors and froth stabilizers to make the process better. What is this? They are compounds that enhance the non-wettability of mineral particles. Okay. Because non-wettability by what? By water. Okay. Cool. So you add pine oil. तेल डालो, पानी से दूर भागेगा. Crude coal and tar. ठीक है. And then you add something called froth stabilizers. Remember the last step, which was agitation? Hey, good evening, Mansab ji. Good evening, good evening. Yeah? Froth stabilizers. There's some process called agitation, right? So, एक बार मैंने froth बना लिया. Froth यानी कि झाग बना लिया. तो, how do I make sure कि वो झाग या froth बना रहे? I use something called aniline and cresol, and both of these things, they reduce the surface tension of water. अच्छा. वो emulsion वाला idea याद है last time that we just did in surface chemistry? Okay, we looked at oil and water and oil type of emulsions. इन दोनों में क्या special चीज थी? There was an interface over there and that was stabilized by an emulsifying agent. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but it's similar to that. मतलब I reduce the surface tension ताकि that froth becomes stable. Okay, resin. Okay, a lot of inputs coming in. But yeah, cool. Froth stabilizers are similar to that idea what we learned in emulsions, that you add some substances that make sure that the froth stays as it is and doesn't go back and separates out and all that. Aniline and cresol help with this. Okay, cool. Great. So the mineral particles get wet by oils and the gangue is wetted by water. In this case, when you have sulfide ores. All right. Cool. So the last step is the agitation of mixture, which is literally, you sit and you pump air into it. And because of that, something very fascinating happens. Right, froth क्या होता है? This is air and liquid, right? That's what foam is. Okay, so I get a rotating paddle, it agitates the mixture and draws air in it. तो घूमता है, हवा आती है और इसकी वजह से जो चीजें जो झाग में है वो ऊपर आ जाता है. So what is froth comes on top. Froth is light and can be skimmed off. Skim मतलब skim milk मतलब ऊपर से हम लोग बस उसको निकाल सकते हैं. आपने वो बनाया? Have you made malai ever? Malai from milk? Right? I don't know why I'm writing this. This is going to be on your slides, but ठीक है. When you make malai from milk, fat ऊपर आ जाता है और पानी नीचे रहता है, right? Because fat is less dense. This is almost exactly like that. तो less dense चीज़ ऊपर आ जाती है, more dense नीचे चला जाता है. But दिस लेस डेंस इज हैपेंड बिकॉज मैंने उसमें तेल डाला है और तेल की वजह से वेटेबल द मिरर इज वेटेड एंड इट कम्स अप. मैंने बहुत डिटेल में आई स्पेंड अ गुड 7-8 minutes ऑन दिस बिकॉज आई थॉट दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट. दिस मे बी शॉर्ट बट दिस इज फ्रॉथ फ्लोटेशन इज द मोस्ट confused. लोग बच्चे स्टूडेंट्स गेट कंफ्यूज विद दिस, सो आई एम जस्ट गोइंग सम टाइम विद दिस. एंड फाइनली फ्रॉथ है, तेल है, उसको हम लोग ड्राई कर सकते हैं. यू गेट ओर पार्टिकल्स दैट आर रिकवर्ड एंड यू गो टू द नेक्स्ट स्टेप. ठीक है, हाथ बाहर चला गया, अंदर ले आते हैं. बनाया है मिल्क. अरे यार मलाई तो बहुत बढ़िया है वरीरा सलमानी जी. मिल्क की बनी हुई मलाई प्लस रोटी एंड विद सम चीनी इज द बेस्ट ब्रेकफास्ट एवर, अमंग द बेस्ट. Yeah. All right, great. Stop talking about food, guys. I'm damn hungry already. Okay, देखिए, this is a beautiful animation. I'm going to pause it at parts so that it's easy for you to understand what's going on. रुकिए, let me go from the starting. ठीक है, this is this right here. ऊपर है तेल, नीचे है पानी. Then we use this thing to agitate it, right? This is also putting in air. What that does is कि it makes sure that although oil and water don't mix, it tries to make them mix. By doing so, जो सबसे नीचे जो आप देख रहे हैं, वो जो particles हैं, वो ore के हैं, and they kind of ऊपर नीचे आ जाते हैं. सस्पेंशन मतलब नीचे आके सेटल हो गया. अब मैं उसको डिस्टर्ब कर रहा हूँ. डिस्टर्ब करने से उसके जो मिनरल पार्टिकल्स हैं वो देखिए, दे स्टार्ट मेकिंग अ फ्रॉथ. वो जो बबल्स हैं, वो बबल्स सिर्फ एयर नहीं है, उसमें पानी है और लिक्विड है. और लिक्विड इज we added cresol, aniline, all that helped increase the froth stabilization. और हमने पाइन ऑयल भी डाला था. तो इन सब चीजें डालने के बाद हम लोग को ये फ्रॉथ मिलता है ऊपर. जब ऊपर आ गया फ्रॉथ, तो जैसे मलाई हमने निकाली थी, similarly you just skim it away from the top, not with your hands obviously. You collect it on the side. That's it. My God, great, brilliant breakfast. I really need to get malai and roti. It's very, very heavy, but the best breakfast ever. ठीक है. Any doubts on froth flotation? Do you guys want to see this animation again or something? Very cool, right? I love this animation. It was amazing. Any doubts? Any doubts from froth flotation? सवाल है तो पूछ लीजिए, ये काफ़ी ज़रूरी है. और इस पे सवाल आ जाते हैं. कभी-कभी students forget कि which one is which. क्या मिनरल पानी से वेट होता है या मिनरल ऑयल से वेट होता है? हम लोग यहाँ पे मलाई ले रहे हैं, राइट? मलाई ऊपर जाती है, मतलब लेस डेंस होनी चाहिए. मतलब कि the froth is going on top and that is a mineral, so that must be wetted by oil. That's how you can remember it. Okay, great Narendra, great to know. ठीक है. Now assume that एक के बजाय 2 सल्फाइड ओर हो गए. अब क्या करें यार? तो maybe I can differentiate between 2 sulfide ores by suppressing one of them. ठीक है? That is what we can do here. This suppression, or well, in this case, let's call them depressants. Okay, we sort of stop one of these guys from coming up. मतलब कि मैं उसकी पानी से वेटेबिलिटी बढ़ा देता हूँ. कैसे? अगर if I add some chemical by which I form a compound that is soluble in water, then automatically it will hate oil. If something likes water, it does not like oil. ठीक है? क्यों? हमने डिटेल में किया है सरफेस केमिस्ट्री में, आप पिछले सेशंस देख सकते हैं. So I add something like NaCN and KCN to suppress the floating characteristic of some ore particle. कौन सा है? For example, I have ZNS and PBS, two famous in a nice green color, saying कि no froth, and this guy is the one that yes froth. This is the one that froths. ठीक है? Cool. What's loading? Froth मतलब झाग. यार तुम लोग हिंदी में लिखाओगे ना झाग, झ कैसे लिखते हैं हिंदी में? I'm drawing, that's not झ, that's घ. झाग, ग, भाई जान. How? Is this झाग? I think I got that correct. ये हिंदी है. मतलब झ बहुत समय हिंदी लिखी यार मैंने लाइफ में. झाग, I think this is झाग. इंग्लिश में लिखना JHAAG. झाग, that is froth. हो गया ना? अच्छा टाइम पास. Let's move on. Okay, we're done with this session. Couple of homework questions. अगले सेशन के लिए तैयार रहेगा. प्लीज एनसीईआरटी पढ़ के आइए. अगला सेशन इज गोना बी a lot more intense. उसमें थोड़ा बहुत हम लोग थर्मोडायनेमिक्स के आइडियाज शुरू करेंगे. थर्ड विल बी कंप्लीटली डिपेंडेंट ऑन थर्मोडायनेमिक्स के आइडियाज, इन द सेंस कि बस एक छोटा सा आइडिया, बहुत एक वन सिंपल थिंग, समथिंग कॉल्ड एलिंगम डायग्राम्स. रीड दैट अप. ओके, दैट्स व्हाट नेक्स्ट 2 सेशन आर गोइंग टू बी अबाउट. लास्ट सेशन थोड़ा चिल है, बट सेकंड एंड थर्ड आर थोड़ा इंटेंस. तो दिस इज द फर्स्ट वन. स्क्रीनशॉट दिस, गिव मी आंसर्स. दिस इज द नेक्स्ट वन. ठीक है, ये दोनों होमवर्क क्वेश्चंस है. अ क्विक समरी ऑफ एवरीथिंग आई हैव डन सो फार. दीपू, व्हाट वाज दैट थिंग? अच्छा, मे बी समथिंग ऑन लोडिंग. इंटरनेट काम नहीं कर रहा था क्या? Anyway, Ashutosh, have I answered your question? Narendra, good to know, no doubts. Test went. समझा नहीं अभिनंदन जी. Session summary. Okay, here you go. यार, you'll have to mug this. अब क्या बोलूँ? कुछ चीज़ें मग करनी पड़ती हैं. ठीक है, this is one of those. कुछ चीज़ें. ये वाला slide और next वाला slide, which is basically that table from hey Laksh. When मतलब? Oh, test. Test तो यार दुनिया में go to the Aakash Byju's app. ठीक है, download it. उसमें तुमको जितने टेस्ट लेने ले सकते हो. What do you mean by test? Like you want me to give you a test? How does that work? I give you a test and how do I conduct it? I think Aakash Byju's is conducting, these entrance tests, and that has started if you're asking about that. NCRT Variraji. NCRT is your Bible or Quran and Bhagavad Gita and all of it for NEET. Yeah? NCRT is the best book. For physical chemistry, if you want to read some more, अगर बहुत ज़्यादा मन है कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा है तो जूम डाल देखिए. फॉर इनऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री जिसमें जेडी ली है और सोलोमन्स है फॉर ऑर्गेनिक. बट आई एम टेलिंग यू दैट दीज आर बुक्स दैट आई यूज टू टीच जेई एडवांस स्टूडेंट्स. इट्स अ ब्यूटिफुल बुक बट इट इज वे ओवर अबव नीट की जरूरत है. नीट के लिए ऑल यू नीड इज एनसीईआरटी. मैं बहुत बार स्टूडेंट्स को बोल चुका हूँ, पढ़िए इनसाइड आउट, you'll smash नीट आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स. ठीक है. 3 different types of metallurgy, right? Pyro, electrometallurgy, hydrometallurgy. Pyro मतलब heat, electro मतलब electricity और hydro मतलब पानी, aqueous solutions, right? Oh, यही चीजें थी. अभी बोला, यहाँ पे लिखे हुए आ रही हैं, examples हैं. Let us quickly, and then we went on to different ways of figuring out the process of metallurgy, right? First was crushing and grinding, छोटा करने का, used a couple of ball mills, stamp mills, etc. etc. Pulverization बोलते थे. Concentration और हम लोग देखते कि अच्छा कौन सी प्रॉपर्टी हम लोग exploit कर सकते हैं. हमारे पास थे hydraulic washing हमने पढ़ा, फिर मैं पढ़ा मैग्नेटिक सेपरेशन. हाइड्रोलिक वॉशिंग वाज ऑन डिफरेंस ऑफ डेंसिटीज ऑफ ओर एंड गैंग. मैग्नेटिक सेपरेशन डिफरेंस ऑफ मैग्नेटिक प्रॉपर्टी. एक मैग्नेटिक है दूसरा मैग्नेटिक नहीं है. और तीसरी चीज थी फ्रॉथ फ्लोटेशन, डिफरेंस इन वेटेबिलिटीज ऑफ ओर एंड गैंग. वेटेबिलिटी किस चीज की हमने पढ़ा, जो सल्फर ओर्स हैं दे आर वेटेड बाय ऑयल बट नॉट वेटेड बाय वाटर. अगर दो ओर साथ में हुए तब हम लोगों ने देखा कि अच्छा NaCN या KCN ऐड करो तो जिंक कॉम्प्लेक्स हो जाता है, मतलब पानी में सॉल्युबल हो जाता है. दैट्स इट. Narendra, I'm going to be doing Ellingham diagrams, right? We are going to go in NCRT order itself. तो इसके just बाद after froth flotation we're going to do leaching. Leaching के बाद हम लोग concentration of ore तो खत्म हो गया. Then we'll talk about Ellingham diagrams, which is forming oxides and then reducing them, etc. etc. पहले हम लोग देखें roasting calcination, उसके बाद Ellingham diagram. For 12th कौन सी लेनी है? Oh, NCRT मैं आपको बता दिया, right? Agitation of mixture. That's it. Oops, hold on. फ्रॉथ फ्लोटेशन में क्या क्या चीजें थी अभी बताया था. सस्पेंशन ऑफ पाउडर्ड ओर, कलेक्टर्स एंड फ्रॉथ स्टेबलाइजर्स. कलेक्टर था पाइन ऑयल. देखिए आपको पढ़ाते बाद में खुद याद हो गया. मुझे ये सब चीजें याद नहीं रहती लाइफ में, बट दैट्स अ गुड थिंग. आई एम टीचिंग यू सो याद हो जा रही हैं. क्रेसॉल एंड एनिलीन. बस यही करिए, मेक योर ओन नोट्स एंड आसानी से याद हो जाएगा. या तो इस सेशन देखिए, एनसीईआरटी देखिए, इट्स बेटर. ओ बाय द वे, अगर एक्स्ट्रा कुछ करना है, वरीरा एंड एवरीबडी एल्स इज लुक एट एनसीईआरटी बिफोर यू डू ऑल दोस फैंसी बुक्स आई टोल्ड यू. एनसीईआरटी फिर एग्जाम्पलर करिए, उसके बाद एनीथिंग एल्स. ठीक है. स्टेप 1, स्टेप 2 एंड देन स्टेप 3 इज एनीथिंग एल्स. दोस 3 बुक्स आई टोल्ड यू अबाउट PC, IC एंड OC. एंड लास्टली एजिटेशन मिक्सचर, वो करता है फ्रॉथ बनाता है, ऊपर आता है. That's it. That's all I had for you today. I hope you guys had fun. Calcination roasting अगले सेशन में on Friday. Any doubts? We done with today. You're most welcome, Lakshya and everybody else on this session. Beautiful. Okay. Oh, this is Varina. I saw that you asked this question on some other thing. इस चीज के बारे में डिटेल मुझे honestly I don't know this. All the best with everything. I hope that things work out for you. Domicile certificate के बारे में मुझे honestly not sure. Yeah, this is a very very specific technical सवाल जो आपने पूछ लिया है. I'll find out if anybody knows. See you, Asya ji. Poonam, beautiful, beautiful. Congrats on that score. Narendra ji, most welcome. Abhinandan, I think periodic table we've already done. Varina, I responded to what you said. I don't have an answer right now. I'll try and get it for you, but it's a difficult thing for me to do. I think it's best that you check with the authorities. Yeah, this is a very, very important thing. All right. Chalo, I'll see you guys around. Bye. Great session as always. Yeah.